What if I told you that just 30 days without sugar could completely change the way your body and brain work? And what if you discovered that sugar, even the natural kinds you thought were safe, might be quietly damaging your health in more ways than you realize? Now imagine freeing yourself from the cravings, the energy crashes, and the brain fog, simply by giving up this one habit. Hi, I'm Dr. Nana, and today on Senior Health Boost, we're going to break down exactly what happens to your body and especially your brain when you stop eating sugar for 30 days. When I say sugar, I'm not just talking about the white crystals in a sugar bowl. I mean anything sweet with calories: sugar, honey, agave, high fructose corn syrup, rice syrup. They're all what we call disaccharides, made of two molecules linked together. These small molecules are processed very quickly by your body. Aside from having different ratios of glucose and fructose, they behave almost the same, and they all have a powerful effect on your metabolism. Glucose raises your blood sugar, spikes insulin, and over time leads to insulin resistance. Fructose, on the other hand, overloads your liver, which can also cause insulin resistance. That's why sugar in any form is one of the most important things to limit if you want lasting health. But sugar isn't just found in desserts and sodas. There's another form to watch for: polysaccharides, also known as starch. You'll find them in bread, potatoes, corn, and similar foods. Starches may not contain fructose, but they're made of hundreds or thousands of glucose molecules linked together. And it takes only minutes for your body to break them down into glucose, causing the same blood sugar spikes as eating sugar directly. In other words, the blood sugar impact from a slice of bread can be almost identical to that of a spoonful of sugar. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore what happens in the short term, the mid-term, and the long term when you cut sugar, with special attention to how it affects your brain. One of the first things you might notice: cravings. And like many changes in life, it can feel a little worse before it gets better. If your body has been relying on sugar and carbs for energy, suddenly removing them can leave it confused, unsure where to get its fuel. When you eat carbs regularly, your blood sugar spikes, insulin rises, and then blood sugar drops. You ride a roller coaster of highs and lows. In the past, whenever your blood sugar dipped, you'd just grab something sweet or starchy, and you'd feel better. But now, without that quick fix, your body has to repair its metabolic machinery and relearn how to make energy from other sources. The good news? This transition doesn't take long, usually just 2 to 4 days. Once insulin levels drop, your body ramps up fat-burning enzymes and learns to make steady energy from stored fat. But during those first days, cravings can be intense. That's your big hurdle, and it's worth pushing through. Besides cravings, you might also experience withdrawal symptoms. Sugar and refined carbs act on the brain's reward pathways much like addictive substances such as cocaine or heroin. They trigger dopamine, a neurotransmitter that gives you a sense of pleasure and motivation. At first, this feels good, which is why we keep seeking it. But over time, your brain adapts, and you need more to feel normal. Without it, you can feel awful. That's withdrawal. As motivational speaker Wayne Dyer once said, addiction is when you can't get enough of what you don't want. Sugar fits that description perfectly. You may not want to eat it, but you keep going back for more. Dopamine itself isn't bad, in fact, it's essential. It fuels our drive, helps us set goals, and keeps us focused on rewards. In nature, dopamine is balanced and self-regulating. But when we stimulate the brain with refined, concentrated substances like pure sugar, or drugs like cocaine and heroin, we override that natural balance. Sure, sugar exists naturally in berries and vegetables, but in tiny amounts, maybe 1-2. Compare that to the pure, refined sugar in processed foods, and you'll see why the impact is so much stronger. When we bypass nature's regulation, the brain's finely tuned systems get overwhelmed, and the cycle of craving and dependence takes over. And that's just the beginning. In the next part, we'll look deeper into how your body adapts after those first few sugar-free days, and the surprising ways your brain responds when you finally break the cycle. In the last part, we uncovered how sugar hijacks your brain's natural reward system, sparking powerful cravings and withdrawal symptoms that can feel almost identical to drug addiction. Now, let's go deeper into why some people get hooked and others don't, and what's really happening inside your brain when you try to break free. Why some people become addicted while others don't. If sugar and other pleasure-triggering substances can be so addictive, you might wonder, why is it that some people can drink alcohol occasionally without becoming alcoholics, and some can enjoy dessert without spiraling into sugar dependence. Dr. Nana explains that part of the answer lies in how we're wired. Each of us has a unique brain, map different strengths, weaknesses, and ways our brain regions connect. Some people's neural circuits are simply more vulnerable to addictive patterns, while others have more robust control systems in place. Our brains are made up of different functional zones. Deep within lies the midbrain, often called one of the lower centers. Marked here in red, in many brain diagrams, this area governs more primitive, survival-based functions like pleasure, reward, and instinct. Above that, in the higher centers, especially the frontal lobe, we find our executive functions, motivation, planning, reasoning, and self-control. Here's how it works. The lower centers react first. They respond to pleasurable stimuli, whether it's sugar, a sip of alcohol, the ping of a text message, or even scrolling through social media. They send out a signal along the reward pathway that says, "That felt good, let's do it again." The battle between lower and higher brain centers, anything that creates pleasure can feed into this pathway. And anything done repeatedly that consistently sparks this reward signal can change the very structure and communication of neurons. When neurons adapt to constant stimulation, their connections rewire. Over time, we can become dependent on the thing that brings us that hit of pleasure, whether it's food, a drink, a behavior, or a drug. The higher centers, like the frontal lobe, are what keep us in check. They can turn down the volume on the urges coming from the lower brain. The stronger and healthier these higher centers are, the more they can keep impulses under control. But when those higher centers are weakened, either from lifestyle factors, stress, or constant overstimulation, it's like losing the brakes on a speeding car. The urges from the lower brain become harder to resist. The game changer, neuroplasticity. Good news is that the brain isn't static. It can change, adapt, and even repair itself through a process called neuroplasticity. And one of the most powerful triggers for positive change? Movement. Exercise affects almost every aspect of brain health. It strengthens communication between neurons, promotes growth of new connections, and supports healthy brain chemistry. One key player here is BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. You can think of BDNF as miracle grow for your brain. It helps neurons grow, repair, and form stronger connections. It protects against shrinkage and degeneration, even in the face of stress or aging. How sugar and exercise affect brain. Constant overstimulation from addictive substances, sugar included, can cause neurons to shrink and become less responsive. Over time, they downregulate, meaning they pull back their sensitivity to prevent overload. BDNF helps shield your brain from this kind of damage. And here's the key: exercise increases BDNF. That means regular movement not only keeps your body fit, it makes your brain more resilient to addiction and stress. On the flip side, sugar does the opposite. High sugar intake can reduce both the production and the effectiveness of BDNF, essentially shutting down your brain's ability to repair and strengthen itself. That's why Dr. Nana emphasizes a powerful one-two punch: cut the sugar, move more. This combination boosts BDNF, improves brain function, and reduces the tendency to become hooked on substances or behaviors that harm your health. Exercise is about more than burning calories. Unfortunately, most people only hear about exercise in the context of appearance or calorie burn. If you eat a cookie, you have to burn X calories to offset it. But that's such a narrow view. When you understand how wide-reaching the effects of exercise are, from mood and memory to addiction resistance and brain repair, it's clear it goes far beyond weight management. Breaking the habit and what happens next dies. Breaking an addiction or a deeply ingrained habit is tough, but if you can make it through the first few days without sugar, things change quickly. After only a few days, you'll likely notice reduced cravings. Your brain isn't demanding that next sweet hit as often. More stable blood sugar. Without constant spikes and crashes, your mood and energy become more even. Increased fat adaptation. Your body begins shifting from relying on quick sugar hits to tapping into stored fat for energy. Why hunger starts to fade by this point, your insulin levels, the storage hormone that locks fat away, begin to drop. With lower insulin, your body can finally access stored fat for energy. That means fewer hunger pangs, steadier fuel, and less temptation to reach for quick carbs. It's like switching from a flickering candle to a steady lamp. You're no longer at the mercy of unpredictable energy bursts. And that's where the real magic begins. In the next section, we'll look at how these changes keep building over time and why your brain, your metabolism, and even your mood all benefit when sugar is out of the picture. By the time you've pushed through those first sugar-free days, your cravings are easing, your blood sugar is stabilizing, and your body is learning to tap into stored fat for energy. Now, let's look at the transformations that can happen in both your body and your brain, changes that go far beyond the number on the scale. From fat burning to weight loss. When insulin levels drop and fat-burning enzymes rise, your body finally unlocks its stored fat. This not only fuels your daily activity, but often leads to one of the biggest motivators for people starting this journey: weight loss. But the benefits don't stop at your waistline. Once your blood sugar stabilizes, many notice a profound lift in mood. There's less depression, less anxiety, and a clearer, sharper mental focus. Productivity often climbs because your brain is no longer stuck on the blood sugar roller coaster. Why the brain responds. So, wealth brain is the main reason blood sugar is so tightly regulated. It prefers to keep levels around 100 mg or dl because extreme highs or lows can be dangerous, even life-threatening. Normally, the brain depends heavily on glucose for fuel. But if you're insulin resistant, that fuel can't get into brain cells efficiently. That's when switching to a low-carb, sugar-free lifestyle makes a huge difference. As you cut sugar and starch, your carbohydrate intake drops so low that your body starts producing ketones, a clean, efficient alternative fuel for the brain. Now, your brain has a backup energy source. It's no longer running on fumes, it's getting a steady supply of fuel, and your whole body feels the difference. With fat adaptation, your metabolic machinery repairs itself, insulin drops further, and you no longer need to top off your energy with constant carb snacks. A new appreciation for real food. A fascinating shift happens in your taste buds, or more accurately, the receptors they're connected to. Your brain begins to rewire how it perceives flavors. Without constant bombardment from overly sweet processed foods, you start noticing the natural complexity of real, unprocessed ingredients. Foods you once thought were bland suddenly taste vibrant and full of flavor. Many people report that after a few weeks off sugar, they go back for a slice of birthday cake they've been waiting for, and are shocked to find it's too sweet. Some even dislike it entirely. Others feel queasy afterward because their body now recognizes it as a shock to the system. Why stopping at day 30 isn't enough. If you make it to day 30, you've already built a strong foundation for a healthier lifestyle. But this isn't the time to stop. Maintaining your new habits is what locks in the benefits. This is also the perfect moment to get objective proof of your progress with blood work. Many people see lower blood glucose, just a 1C, your 3-month average blood sugar. Lower triglycerides, even if you're eating more healthy fats, because high triglycerides often come from excess sugar, not fat. Improved cholesterol ratios, HDL tends to rise, and the ratio of total cholesterol to HDL drops, a key marker for heart disease risk. Fewer small, dense LDL particles, the more harmful form of LDL, which is linked to oxidation and inflammation, often decreases even if total LDL stays the same. These changes indicate reduced inflammation, one of the most powerful shifts you can make for long-term health. Blood pressure and future health. Many also notice their blood pressure trending down, further easing the strain on the heart and blood vessels. But perhaps the most important takeaway is how dramatically just 30 days without sugar can reshape your future health trajectory. Of course, the key is consistency. You can't erase decades of sugar damage in 1 month, then return to processed junk and expect to keep your gains. Staying the course allows your body to burn through harmful liver fat, especially when you stop overloading it with fructose. Once that liver fat starts shrinking, your metabolic health continues to improve. And this is just the start. In the next section, we'll explore exactly what happens inside your liver when you stop feeding it sugar and why that change might be the single most important factor in preventing long-term disease. By the time you've gone 30 days without sugar, your body is burning fat more efficiently, your liver is starting to shed harmful fat deposits, and your blood work is showing measurable improvement. But the benefits go even deeper, reaching into every system of your body and even protecting you from some of today's most feared diseases. Why? Cutting sugar is about more than weight loss. When you reduce liver fat, you do far more than slim down your waistline. You lower your risk and in some cases, can even reverse type 2 diabetes. You can help normalize blood pressure, protect your kidneys, and slash your risk of heart disease, stroke, and dementia. The list doesn't stop there. Cutting sugar can also reduce your cancer risk and strengthen your immune system. And here's something that might get your full attention. These same changes can improve your odds of surviving serious infections like COVID-19. The link between sugar, metabolic health, and COVID-19. By now, most people know COVID-19 is caused by a virus that can be mild in some but deadly in others. What many don't realize is that the difference often comes down to metabolic health. Early in the pandemic, researchers noticed a striking pattern. People with metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, and chronic low-grade inflammation had a mortality rate around 15%. Those without these conditions had a mortality rate of 0.1% or less. That's not a small difference. It's a 100 to 150-fold change in your odds of survival. And one of the most powerful levers you can pull to improve your metabolic health is to stop eating sugar. How the pandemic made things worse. Think about what happened when lockdown started. We were told to stay home. Social interactions disappeared. Many lost the daily stimulation of going to work, seeing friends, and engaging with the world. Without these positive outlets, stress and worry took over. Worry about jobs, health, the virus itself. Joy and movement were replaced by isolation and anxiety. Before COVID, about 17% of the U.S. population struggled with significant anxiety or depression. By the middle and later stages of the pandemic, that number had soared to around 40%, nearly half the country. Comfort foods, sugar, and the downward spiral. When we feel bad, we instinctively look for something to make us feel better. The easiest quick fix. Comfort foods loaded with sugar and refined starches. They're cheap, accessible, and engineered to hit the brain's pleasure centers fast. At the same time, many people were barred from going to gyms, walking on beaches, or even strolling in public parks. Activity levels plummeted. And with depression in the mix, motivation to move fell even further. How lack of movement hurts the brain. When you stop moving, you deprive your brain of one of its most vital forms of stimulation, the kind that builds new neural connections and stimulates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Without BDNF, the brain's ability to grow, adapt, and repair weakens. And when the brain weakens, its ability to regulate mood, motivation, and stress control drops. This sets off a dangerous cycle. Weakened brain, more depression. More depression, less movement. Less movement, even weaker brain. Layer sugar on top of that, and the situation worsens. Sugar further suppresses BDNF, making the brain less resilient. A weaker brain means less inhibition of stress responses, so stress levels rise unchecked. Stress, immunity, and the sugar traffic. Stress weakens immunity. Add more sugar, which also suppresses immune function, and your body is left defenseless right when it most needs to fight. This is the immunity you need to protect yourself from viruses like COVID-19. And yet, in times of stress, many feed the very habit that erodes their defenses. The way to don't share this to be bleak. I share it because there's a clear, actionable path out of this spiral. But first, you have to understand how these pieces connect. That understanding gives you a goal, and that goal gives you motivation. The action plan is simple. Stop eating sugar. Start moving daily. Even if it's just a walk. Support your brain and your body with nutrient-dense, whole foods. These steps aren't just about feeling better today. They're about building a foundation for resilience, both mentally and physically. If you need one more reason, let's talk money. Still not convinced? Let's look at this from another angle. Your wallet. Think about where much of your money goes. For many Americans, a big portion goes to something called health insurance, spelled with an I. That's the plan you pay into each month so that when you get sick, your symptoms can be treated. But it's not designed to truly restore your health. It's built to manage disease, not reverse it. Now consider health insurance, spelled with an E. This is the proactive action you take to ensure you stay healthy or even reverse disease you already have. When you spend a little more on real, whole foods, the kind that fuel healing instead of causing harm, you're buying the best health insurance there is. In my own clinical practice, we don't accept health insurance with an I because it doesn't cover the kind of health insurance with an E that truly changes lives. Your next step starts now. You've seen how 30 days without sugar can transform your body, sharpen your brain, protect you from chronic disease, and even improve your odds in the face of serious infections. Now it's your turn. You can start right now. Today and 30 days from now, you could be looking back amazed at how much better you feel. If this video inspired you to take control of your health, let's keep that momentum going. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and hit subscribe to Senior Health Boost. Don't forget to turn on the bell, so you never miss another life-saving tip. Your brain, your body, and your future self will thank you, starting today.